Hey folks, okay, we're just getting started. We're going to wait a minute while a few more people try to join us. And I'm really, honored to have you all here. I hope that this information is really helpful. And we're going to be talking about how to recession-proof your school. What are the things you should be doing right now? This is obviously a scary time for everybody, and and I know it's a scary time for us too, of course. So, um, so the topic is how to recession-proof your school today. Again, we're just going to wait another minute while people keep on joining up. So we're just going to give them a minute to get in. Um, I am, this is information I've been gathering, both just as a as a business consultant, and as a school management consultant, and as as somebody that's been talking to schools every day. I'm talking to school directors, school owners, administrators, teachers, day in and day out, all day. I've been able to aggregate some information, some feedback, tell you what schools are doing that's working, and also, but just in general, uh, small business best practices for heading towards a economic downturn. Um, and we'll jump into that again. We're just going to wait another 30 seconds or so for more folks to join us. And please go into that chat on the right side. Just tell us where you're joining us from. I just want to make sure actually you're hearing me as I'm talking as well. And so go to that chat box. Don't be shy. Tell us where you are joining us from today, what part of the world you are in, and we will once I get a confirmation that you are hearing me, we will get going onto this presentation. Um, okay, we have confirmation. Wonderful. Thanks everybody for joining us, for coming in to give us your time. And what I'm going to also ask is, please be patient with me in regards to questions. I will do my best to answer your questions. You can go into that chat box, ask any questions you want. I probably won't catch them right away, but there will be a question period at the end. I'll leave some time to answer questions that you have, and I will make sure that I go through any questions that come in on the chat. As I am isolated, I'm the only one in the office. Everyone else is working from home, so I don't have the kind of support I have to catch all the questions. So again, don't hesitate to ask those questions, but um, please do stick around to the end so that I can answer them. Um, okay, so moving into this presentation, so you're in the right place if you're running a school, but you're not a marketing expert, not a technology expert, but you do need to get more students enrolled in your amazing school, and you're probably wondering, how do I do that right now? This is a very interesting time to be thinking about marketing. Um, you know, uh, you're in the right place because you know that there's a better way to market your school, but you don't really have the time to learn how to do it. That's in general, especially when we are in this very uh, different new environment. And if you had more time, you'd rather spend that time in the classroom or developing your program or doing things that you really enjoy doing, maybe not necessarily spending a lot of time learning how to become a marketing expert or a technology expert. Um, I also want to suggest that you stick with us to the end, because I'm gonna have you're gonna have access to a free ebook called "Getting Started with Facebook Ads." It will be really helpful for you for any either now, anytime in the future. Um, okay, so um, yeah, and so just to start off, I'll just run down some examples of the schools we work with, just kind of so these are some case studies, so you know that we you know I know what I'm talking about. and I'm not coming out of left field with this stuff. What I'm gonna do is just kind of give you a description of some of the schools we've worked with, and so this is Patricia Marreri. She is a she's your standard school director. She runs Montessori, Fort McMurray Montessori School, um, and she basically. Uh, she was a teacher, then she opened up a school, and she found she was having a hard time with marketing. She felt she should be able to do it herself and learn it, but then she realized, managing a school and doing all the millions of things she has to do, she really didn't have the time to become a marketing expert. So we met Patricia at the AMS conference in 2017. She signed up with us, and we helped her get to full capacity with 40 new students in 6 months. We've been working with her ever since, and she's using our other components of our platform. This is Brian Gordon, who's a really kind of different story than Patricia. He is he's actually got a computer programming background. He's got an MBA. He's worked in corporate America, and he's quite savvy and obviously but he's very busy. So when you know he wasn't sure if he wanted to promote us to his board, but he did, and they decided to move forward. And within 9 months, he was at capacity with 70 new students, and so that was 4 years ago. He's been working with us ever since. This is Laura McDonald, who is the owner of Fredericton Montessori Academy, and she just opened up her school, and she was able to muster up about 12 students on her own in their first year. But she realized that if they wanted to meet their enrollment goals and to expand more classrooms, they really needed outside help. So after signing up with us, we actually got her 50 more students within a matter of 12 months. And this is Kiva Hampton, who's the principal at Inner City Christian School. She actually holds our top performing campaign record. Um, Upon signing up with us and getting her campaign launched within 2 weeks, she had 18 new students, which was pretty amazing. So let me just kind of break down the core concept right now that you want to focus on. Number one, to help recession-proof your school, you need to prioritize marketing over any other expense. And number two, you need to automate your administration as much as humanly possible. And number three, you should not be doing this stuff alone, because folks that are running schools, generally speaking, are not marketing experts, or not technology and automation experts. And it just takes a certain kind of skill set that is just really hard to learn when you're already bogged down with a school in a regular time, especially when you're trying to figure out what to do with your school. Now everyone we talk to is doing Zoom classes and figuring out how that works and where the real value is with that. I'm happy to talk about that as well. But this is the core concept, and so it might be a little bit surprising to hear that you need to prioritize marketing over everything else first. But I will say, if you do a quick Google search about how to recession-proof any small business, what you're going to see is everybody says, first and foremost, don't stop marketing. You need to keep marketing, but you have to market the right way. So that's what we're going to talk about. What's the right way to market for your school right now, which was different than, even a few weeks ago. I'll tell you exactly what you should be doing. But even if it means that you have to not pay one of your staff people or let somebody go, which is the last thing anybody wants to do, to be a responsible business owner or a responsible business manager, you have to be marketing during this time. Because if you want a place for that staff member that you had to let go to come back to in a few months, you won't have it unless you are marketing. You have to make mature, hard business decisions right now. You have to try to get away from the emotions. Everyone's full of emotions. It's a scary time. We're all isolated, but please hear me. You have to prioritize marketing right now. Okay, I'll move on. So who am I who are we? A little bit about our organization. So we are leaders in marketing, technology, and private school management in general. Um, I'm John O'Landon. I'm the founder and CEO of Hubly. Mark Sullivan is our CTO. He's also the founder of the Center for Guided Montessori Studies, the largest Montessori teacher training company in the world. Teresa Beretta is our COO. Tim Selden is on our advisor on our board of directors, and he is the president of the Montessori Foundation. And Jonathan Wolf, another one of our advisors, founder of Learning for Life and Montessori Leadership. A lot of Montessori leaders in this organization. We do work with all kinds of private schools, not just Montessori, but it just happens to be through, I guess, word of mouth. Montessori schools have really taken to what we do, but we work with all sorts of schools at this point, and obviously we've got some strong Montessori leadership in our organization. But nothing we do is any less relevant for any kind of private school. So please don't think that if you're not a Montessori school. Okay, so why is enrollment such a big problem right now in general? Okay, so aside from the current pandemic, in general, enrollment is been an issue. So if you take a look at these graphs, it tells you what's going on. So the private school sector has really blown up. It's grown 25% in the last 25 years. So there's 25% more schools than there was 25 years ago, and at the same time, parents are having about half the amount of kids as they used to. So those two trends are kind of working against schools, seemingly making it harder to keep the numbers up. And another thing that sort of exacerbates the problem is the average age of a school director is 49 years old. The average age of the parent you're trying to pull into the school, that generally the young millennial moms, right, come into the earliest years of your program and hopefully stick with you for the whole scope of your programming. 20 years ago, these two demographics had the exact same communication behaviors and expectations, right? Everybody, 20 years ago, everybody went to the phone book, right? But today, they're very different, right? Every year, the people running schools are getting older, but your customers stay the same age, right? So ask yourself if you've noticed how communication behaviors and expectations have been changing. But the truth is, even with all these points that I'm making, you've actually never been in a better position to have a very successful school and in a more cost-effective way, meaning full of the families that you want, that are an ideal fit for your school. And I'll explain why. You're probably aware that there are more women in college today than there ever have been in before. And there's actually considerably more women getting educated in college than men in all levels of college, right? So that means that there's more women that are educated, value education, and are working. And so that the demographic that you want, the young, educated moms that value education and have the ability to pay for it, right? That market's actually growing. Your ideal market segment is growing. So even though there's more schools and there's less children per family, there's more families with that are actually looking for private school. Okay. So we can see from our data that that what these moms are looking for is individualized learning, developmentally appropriate education. They want a strong focus on character development. They know that they have a better idea in general of what quality education is, and they just they just don't know who offers the best path to these results. And it's really easy to reach that parent and get her to book a tour if you know what you're doing. The problem is that most schools are marketing to the wrong people. Okay, so we'll talk about that a bit more. So it's important to remember that when a parent decides to enroll their child in your school, in their head psychologically, they're not paying you for your school or for your tuition. They're paying for the future they think you will deliver to their child. Okay, so let's talk about just sales in general for a second, right? Why do people buy things, and what do they buy? Okay, so here's the thing that a lot of educators don't really know or appreciate, and even a lot of sales professionals don't really understand this, but people don't buy products or services. They buy results. They buy the transformation that they believe you can help them get to, okay, or bring to them. So if like just to make this into an analogy, imagine you're stranded on an island in the middle of the ocean, right? All you want to really do is get back home to your family, back home to your comfy, you know, air conditioned home. You don't really care how you get there. You're stranded on an island and you're gonna starve to death. So it's like, get me out of here, right? Could be a boat that takes you there, or a plane, or a helicopter. So you're really not. If you think about this analogy for you, you're not selling your school, right? It doesn't matter to them like so much about the physical environment, or necessarily the very the very detailed specifics, right? Rather, you're selling parents on a vision of their child's future, right? So let's say you run a Montessori school, okay? So well, of course, that parent has to align with the values of a Montessori education. You can say the same thing for a Christian school or a Waldorf school, right? But at this stage of the relationship, right, the specific methods and tools are not the most important thing to the parent, as long as they believe your school has great educators. And I'm talking about the initial inquiry stage. How do you get parents into the school for a tour? They're not they're not focused on the how yet, right? They just want to make sure the what is there. So they just want to make sure that, for them to come in, they have to believe that you know how to help their child develop into their best future selves. Just like the person that's stranded on the island, right? They don't really care if the boat that's going to take them across the ocean back home, they don't care if it has a Kawasaki engine or a Yamaha engine. That doesn't matter to them, right? As long as they think the engine's going to work and it's going to go as fast as possible and get them where they need to go as fast as possible, right? So, so I just want to first of all address something that might really surprise you. I say this because I talk to school leaders all the time, but contrary to what is generally the popular opinion or assumption amongst school leaders, your school's branding does not help you get students. Okay. And this is so much more important now, ever more important now than it ever has been. Branding does not help you grow your enrollment. Okay. The only type of marketing you should be investing your time or resources into is called lead generation marketing. Okay. So you might be wondering what the difference is between branding and lead generation. And the truth is, it's an enormous difference. Okay. So I'm going to take a step back here and just give you some marketing theory. So the way, pardon me, the way any business should choose their marketing strategy is by aligning it with how their customers make a purchasing decision. Okay. So that might sound really obvious, but it's not so obvious, trust me, because most schools are marketing in a different way than their parents. Excuse me. Most schools I see are marketing in a way that's different than that does not align with how their parents make this purchasing decision of a private school. So let's think about branding here. So let's talk about Coca-Cola for a second. So Coca-Cola is, like, as far as brands go, right? They're the most recognizable brand in the world. Nobody could you ever imagine, like, forgetting that Coca-Cola exists. That's hard to imagine, right? Could you forget about Coca-Cola? That'd be tough. But they spend over $1 billion a year on branding. That's the only kind of marketing Coke does. So why do they do that? Because when their customer is making a buying decision, it's a really small, inconsequential decision. Like, you know, they're just gonna buy a they're gonna look at a wall of drink options. They're gonna grab whatever they feel like grabbing, and they're gonna spend $1 on it. It's almost like the lizard brain just moves their arm towards the wall, like to whatever color feels right, right? Whatever logo feels right. That's what it is. That's what branding does, right? So it's totally inconsequential. Now, let's contrast that with how your customer and parents, right, make their decision to enroll their child in your school. They have to go. right? For your parents to make this decision, this is a huge decision. This is one of the biggest decisions that people make in their lives, right? It's up there, with like, who am I going to marry, where am I going to live, and what kind of school do I want to put my children into? So as we all know, for parents to decide if they're going to send their children to your school, they have to go through many steps to make that decision. They have to contact you and schedule a tour and make room in their calendar. They have to remember that they booked this tour and then show up, and maybe maybe they have to schedule time off work, get a babysitter. Then they have to get in their car and drive over, right? But they're willing to do all that labor because this is a huge decision with incredibly large implications, right? They're not just going to make this decision flippantly, right? This is going to be a decision that has a high price tag. They're going to spend maybe up to $100,000 or more at your school. They stick with you, and they're giving you the opportunity to play a major influential role in the future of their children. Like, super high stakes, right? There's a high risk of making a bad choice here. So ask yourself something. The last time a parent came into your school for a tour, and they came in and you saw on their face that they were just they loved it. You could see them just connecting with the environment and everything, and they it's like all five senses were at play. They see it, they hear it, they touch it, they smell it, and they fell in love, right? And you could see that on their face. You could see that instant recognition that this was the right place for their child, right? Which they could only have that experience by coming in to your school, right? You can't get that from a website. You can't get that from an email. You can't get that from a phone call. You can only get that by having their whole entire body in your school for a tour. This is the experience that school leaders tell me about. They see this day in and day out when they're giving tours, right? So let me ask you something. When parents go through all of that effort and they come in for a tour and they have that experience, that deep recognition of finding the best fit for their child, do you think it matters to them what your logo looks like? Right? Do you think it matters to them what color palette you chose on your website? Does it even matter to them really what the name of your school even is? Does it matter? No, right? Because none of those things are why they are enrolling their child in your school. They are completely inconsequential in this decision. The only concern you ever have to give to your branding is that it just doesn't offend anybody. I promise you, there are so many schools that are full of students with waiting lists, and they have the ugliest logo and a completely, uh, uh, what's the word? A name of the school that's totally not memorable, and the website is ugly and old, and there's bugs in it, and it's just like none of that played a role at all, because that's not what sells people in the school at all, right? So you can pretty much just just download a simple logo template from a website. There's free. Like, you don't have to invest. Please don't go investing in expensive agencies or consultants to do branding. It's the worst thing. It's the worst waste of money. It really pains me when I see schools doing that. Okay, so one of the most important mistakes we see that schools make with their website. So this is myth buster number 2, right? Your website, the myth is that your website should be promoting enrollment. Okay, but the truth is, the goal of your website is to promote tour bookings. It's not to sell your school, it's to sell the tour of your school. And those are two really different things. Okay, so the big problem with this is that parents can't, just like we just talked about what it is that sold them. They had to come into the school and experience it with all 5 of their senses. So parents can't gather decision-making information about enrollment without first coming into the school, right? So that's the only way they can actually learn what they need to learn, right? So your website is not there to sell them on your school. It's there to just to get them to book a tour, to get them interested enough to book a tour. What you don't want to do is make them think that your website informed them enough that they don't need to come in for a tour. Your website is not a pamphlet. That is one of the, and everybody does this. If you look at every school website, Everybody does the pamphlet type website. They think it's there to inform everybody about their their educational philosophies, exactly how they do things, all the details about their programming, their tuition, all that stuff. Wrong, 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 wrong. That's why schools are not doing well with enrollment. On average, schools are at a 60% capacity. The number one reason is because their website is designed like a pamphlet. Okay, your pamphlet, that information should only be given to somebody after they come in for a tour, because those minute, important but minute details are not important to that parent until they feel like they want to enroll their child. First, you want to get them to trust you and feel like they want to enroll their child in your school. Then you give them all the detail specific boring stuff. Okay, and I don't mean it's your methodology is boring or anything, but I mean the real like nitty gritty details about how everything works, exactly how it works. That is not important at this stage. It becomes very important after they come into the school and they want to enroll. They like you. They've got the warm and fuzzies, right? So so I'm going to show you how you should be using your website. But first, I'm going to show you the results you can get when you can expect when you actually use it the right way. So this is a case study here. I'm going to show you. This is a case study. One of our customers, Rising Scholar Montessori. So before working with us, they were making these mistakes that I'm talking about, and the result was they were not getting any inquiries aside from word of mouth marketing. So people were coming to their website, they were just seeing pages of a lot of text, way too much information. This is information that's the depth of information on this site was geared towards making a purchasing decision, not towards building interest and then to come in to learn more, to come in for, to learn more by coming in for a tour. So on their main website, they had all these long paragraphs about Montessori education and all their philosophies, and that's all wonderful stuff. The problem is that it was turning away people that were not already interested in Montessori. And here's the thing, right? Like if you're a Montessori school, and again, same applies to any kind of specific kind of school or methodology. It's like they're not looking for Montessori, right? People that are looking for Montessori or are looking for Waldorf or are looking for Reggio Emilia, if they are already sold on that, they don't need your website to sell them on coming in for a tour. They're going to come in for a tour. If they're looking for schools, they're going to check out every Montessori school in the area, right? They're going to call you. Your website is for marketing. It's there to connect with the people that are not already sold on what you do, right? And so if you try to sell them on Montessori on your website, you are turning more of them away than right. You're hurting your chances of getting more tours with people that are a perfect fit for your school. Okay, so so here's what you want to do. So after we set up their enrollment marketing system, they started getting 30 inquiries per month. Okay, so we'll take a look at the system we built for them. First, it started with Facebook ad. Okay, that then sent people to a landing page, which is just it's a web page. It's their website now. But we design it. The type of design we call this a landing page, and on there they fill out an inquiry form, and then once they submit the inquiry form, they're automatically directed to an automated tour booking system. So what this means is the admin of the school no longer have to spend any time on communicating with parents until they actually show up for a tour. And this is critical for running a school efficiently, because until parents show up for a tour, they don't deserve your time. You shouldn't be sending manual follow-up emails to inquiries to parents that haven't even showed up for a tour yet, because it's too soon, right? So you've got parents that are paying your tuition, you've got staff, and you've got students. All those people deserve your time, your very, very limited time. So let's be honest. You probably don't even have enough time for those folks as it is, the people that actually deserve your time, right? Does that make sense? Right? So I'm going to show you exactly how we got them 30 inquiries per month. So this is exactly what we did, okay? So the first thing we do is ensure that the ads get engagement from your ideal target parents. The best way to write ads and attract your ideal prospective parents is to learn how they would naturally speak about the values and the results they are looking for, right, from a school. And we want to use the language that they use. We want to use that in your ads and your website. So the easiest way to learn this is to identify the parents that you are already have as customers and the ones that you specifically feel are your favorite parents, right? And then our system has a digital questionnaire that you're going to send to those parents, which asks them specific questions which are designed to elicit responses about how they benefit from your school. So for example, like, questions like, what problems does your school solve for them as parents, or how does your school make their days run smoother, right? And so questions like that elicit a lot of great ad copywriting content. You're right. You want to stay away from using the language that you think they should think, right? It's hard to do that when you're on the inside of a system like being an educator. So the second critical element is setting up a campaign performance tracking system. This is so important. This makes sure that you're not wasting your money, and that is so critical all the time, if not, of course, even more now, right? So when we first started working with Rising Scholar, like most schools, they had no idea how much they needed to budget for marketing. They didn't know that because they had no idea how much it cost them to generate an inquiry. So, and I always ask schools, how much are you spending per inquiry? And they never know. And that is a massive, massive problem. So until you have a system that you can trust to inform you exactly what it costs you to get a student, you should not spend a single dollar on marketing, because the chances are just too high that you are throwing that money down the toilet. Okay. You have to have something that gives you definitive information. When you spend money on an ad, it tells you exactly how much you are spending to get the result you're trying to get to. And that would be either a tour booking, and also per, like, cost per tour booking, cost per enrollment. That is information you need to have. And I'll show you in a few minutes, like how that puts you in a position to know exactly how much you need to budget for marketing now and at any point in the future. So lastly, you need a system to optimize the campaign to improve its performance. So this is another reality about creating a successful enrollment marketing campaign that really most people don't know. There are 3 separate areas of testing, and you have to test them one at a time in a very specific sequence. This is different for different kinds of businesses. So this is something that we've figured out and learned and tested, and over doing so many campaigns for schools. So first you have to test the creative, right? Then you test the targeting options, and then you test the landing page design. So how well you do this testing is what determines the success of your campaign. It's a process of eliminating like many different variables, many different versions of the ad and of the targeting and of the landing page, until you find the one that performs the best. So while you're testing, so you actually have to spend money to learn what doesn't work first before you can identify what works best. So you'll usually start seeing inquiries right away, but the reason why Facebook ads are so much better than print ads is because it's really easy to improve the performance of the campaign by over 400%. This is a case study from this school. We improved the performance of this campaign by over 400% as we went through this testing, these 3 different phases of testing. So what that means is they get 420 times more, they get 4.2 times more inquiries per dollar now than they did when we first launched the campaign. So that's really helpful, obviously, because you're getting way better value, way better return on your investment on marketing. So Mythbuster number 3, you should follow up with enrollment inquiries personally. But the truth is, your inquiry process should be completely automated to ensure that it's always professional. That is what parents want at this initial stage, right? One of the best ways to impress prospective parents today and build the kind of trust with them that you need is to show them that you are extremely well organized and that your office is run efficiently. So at this stage of your relationship with a prospective parent, this is critically important. So the analogy I like to use when I talking about this, it's kind of like dating for marriage, right? Because this is a big decision. It's a really big decision. It's up there with, you know, uh, where am I going to put my children in their school? Like I talked about earlier, it's also kind of like who am I going to marry? Where am I going to live? So when this 28-year-old millennial mom is checking out schools, it's like she's going on first dates, you know, and it's, she's not looking for a relationship on a first date. She doesn't want someone to give her an engagement ring on the first date. That's way too fast, right? So 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 this initial inquiry stage is like the first date, but the tour, that's kind of like the second date. That's when the relationship can start. That's when they meet you face to face. That you want to hold back on the warm and fuzzy kind of, communication until you meet them, until they actually go through the process of showing up at your school. Does that make sense to you? Does that resonate with folks? Like, here's another thing about marketing that a lot of people don't realize. Marketing is just a way of building trust, right? Until somebody is ready to hand over either a little or a lot of their hard-earned money, right? So the bigger the decision is, the more time and effort it's necessary in order to build that trust, right? So, so you have to think about that. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to show you how an automated system works. But before I do, I want to show you the results that you can expect from using a system that automates things. So at Rising Scholar Montessori, when people would inquire, it was the old school way. They would call or walk in. It was all like sticky notes and like many different sort of spreadsheets, trying to keep things organized. People falling through the cracks, following up with people manually, booking things manually on a paper agenda, and like calling them or emailing them manually to remind them. Like really time consuming stuff, super time consuming. So now what they have is a dashboard with a simple list that's really easy to manage and track where everyone is in the inquiry process. So the system's working in the background, handling emails, reminders, form entries, etc. And they have one place to go and see the status of each parent and where they're at going through this process. So that saved them 2 hours a day from very boring administrative busy work. That's the stuff that nobody really wants to do and really should be trying to get away from it. And today, with today's technology, it is crazy that people are using sticky notes and doing manual appointment follow-ups, right? So so here's another thing to really think about. If you just run an ad campaign that works well and you start getting a whole bunch of inquiries and you don't have an efficient automated system, that means that you're managing all the more inquiries manually. And that means all the more inquiries are going to fall through the cracks. All the more things that you can't get to are still, you're not going to get to them. It's going to cause problems elsewhere. You're going to have a whole influx of inquiries, and it's going to be a big bottleneck, and it's going to hurt other parts of your organization, right? So you don't want to do that, right? And then it causes other problems. Like, as an example, I was talking to a school director recently who she was doing everything the manual way. She had to go cover, she had a sick teacher, she had to go cover for her, and for a few days, and so she couldn't do anything in the office. So inquiries were coming in, and they were just falling through the cracks, and she wasn't following up with them. And one of them got offended because they didn't get followed up with, and they went onto their Facebook page and wrote a negative review about the school because it made them look unprofessional. And you don't want that, right? And maybe that parent was just angry or offended, and maybe they're just one of those crazy parents, not necessarily the kind that you want in the school anyways. But with today's online reviews and all these things that can happen, obviously you want to keep yourself in the most professional light possible. Okay, so when we work with a school, we custom design your inquiry management system so it automates the whole process that takes an interested parent from the point of seeing an ad, learning that you exist, becoming aware of the school to the point when they actually show up for the tour, and the whole thing is automated. So I'll just give you some highlights here, right? So first off, this is from Rising Scholar Montessori during the campaign case study that I showed you. Over that time, they spent $1,000 on the ads. This is over a period of 3 months. They got 12 new students, and they got at a cost of $83 per student. And every stage of that process was completely automated. So people clicked on the ad, then they went to the landing page. It sent them to book a tour. If they didn't book a tour right away, they would get emails over the next few weeks inviting them to come back and book a tour. And then they would attend the tour, and they got automated reminders to show up for the tour, and then they would enroll. And then the people that never even got to the tour booking phase, this school would have monthly open houses. Okay, so they filled out the inquiry form. They have not yet booked a tour, but every month the system would send out an invitation to all those people, right, that had not yet booked a tour to an open house. It would send them an invitation automatically to an open house, and then a percentage of those people would sign up for the open house. They'd get reminders, and they would show up for the open house, and then they would enroll. All of that is happening, right? Obviously, you can't automate the tour. You have to everything except for showing up for the tour is totally automated, right? And that's the way it should be. There's no reason why anything else except for you showing up for the tour should be manual. Okay, so now I'm just going to run through some of the features and components that you should be working with. So digital forms make managing data incredibly efficient, right? You don't want to have to be collecting paper for everything, and paper forms have so many frustrating problems. There's missing information, handwriting that you can't read, right? With digital forms, parents fill them out online. Everybody prefers that. And it just reduces incredible amounts of hours. No, when I say digital forms, I don't mean sending a PDF. That's not a digital form, because although you're sending a digital file, they have to print it off, and then they have to fill it out, and they have to bring it over to you and hand you a piece of paper. And that's when hours of work begins, right? So what you want is a digital form that they literally fill out on a device, on a computer or on a phone or on a laptop or an iPad, and they fill it out. And once they fill it out, there's nothing else to do. It's filled out, it's completed, no information is missing, there's nothing that you can't read. And digital forms can handle digital signatures and payments. All that stuff is all wrapped up, all done, and you don't have to collect anything. You can just review what's come in, print it off, export it, do whatever you want to do. It saves schools. Digital forms can save schools literally months of work over the year. Okay, so our appointment scheduling system is really great for any type of appointment management you need to do, whether it's tours or open houses or observations or parent-teacher conferences throughout the year. Really, really handy to have all the automated. So think about parent-teacher conferences or tour bookings, right? Get away from the paper. It's just break free. Save yourself hours. I mean, managing appointments and parent-teacher conferences. These things sometimes it's like half an hour a day or 5 minutes a day, and sometimes it's like 3 days of straight work for parent-teacher conferences or more, just to keep all this stuff happening. And it should just be set it and forget it. Send a link to the parents. They book. They get reminders. You don't have to worry about it. You can see who's booked, who hasn't booked, and keep track of everything with just a quick login, that type of thing. Okay, so in summary, if you want to recession-proof your school, you need to build targeted Facebook ads that communicate the values that your ideal parents are looking for in the language that they would use to talk about them. And you need to standardize the way you follow up with your inquiries so that you appear more businesslike and professional, which will result in more parents coming in for tours. And you need to use a digital system that automates the whole process so you can track everything, make sure you're spending the lowest amount of money possible to have the enrollment that you need. And you can carve out hours of work in your day. And, listen, in times of economic downturn, it's always the hardest thing to do. I hopefully you don't have to let anybody go, but do not sacrifice your school because you're too afraid to face the reality that you might have to let somebody go. You got to be a responsible business owner or business manager, this is the time when you have to go to technology to reduce your expenses. And sometimes that means, using technology so that one person can do the job of two or three. That's what technology does. That's what our system does. It allows you to get way more work done with a fraction of the time and effort. And, you know, that's step two. Step one is marketing. You have to do marketing. And there are some specific things to do with the Facebook ads during this phase of, everybody being isolated. I'd be excuse me. You have to use Facebook. It's the best way to go. There are some very specific strategic ways you want to use those ads today that is different than the standard. Obviously, people aren't going to be booking tours today, but you can be using Facebook ads to be building a list of parents that are very interested in your school. And I can, I'll show you how we can break that down for you as well. So here's my question for you right now. What do you think? What do you think about all this stuff? Is this making sense? Right? Like, I don't know exactly why you showed up here, but I bet that you want to stop wasting time and money on marketing activities that you don't even know if they will work, or you don't know if they are the right thing for you to do right now. And so what people are doing is just not doing anything. And the truth is, right, if you don't know what to do, you are better off not spending any money. Okay. Don't do anything if you don't know what to do, because you will just waste the money you have. You probably want to free up your time from boring, repetitive, remedial activities like sorting through paper, right, and use digital things. You want to give your prospective parents or your existing parents a communication experience that is engaging and informative and makes them look forward to enrolling in your school. You want to be able to keep your school enrolled, to capacity with a waiting list. Even in this time, you can do that right now. You could be shoring up enrollment. You can be bolstering your ability to have full enrollment when things go back to normal. That's why you have to keep marketing, and that's why you have to do it in the smartest way possible. And you want to have enough inquiries coming in month after month so that you're not afraid to turn away parents that aren't the best fit for either your Montessori school or your Waldorf school or whatever kind of school you have. And you know that you are capable of doing all of this stuff, and you just need to get some of these roadblocks out of the way. Biggest roadblock is knowledge, lack of knowledge, and time, right? So so you can do this, right? You can definitely do this. You're smart enough to do this stuff. If you run a school, if you're an educator, you can do this, I promise. And hey, you've shown up here, you've made it a priority. Hopefully you've taken away some notes here. And maybe you're even feeling a little bit relieved to have a bit of a direction to go. So I want you to know that the right marketing strategy right now can save your school. It can. Okay, but you just have to know exactly what to do. You have to do the right specific things. Okay, right now. There's specific things you need to do right now, and that can save your school. And so that's where we come in. Obviously, you've got two options. You can figure it out on your own, or you can work with us. And so, I just want to take a second to ask you if, please, I've just been giving you a lot of information, and I'm happy to do that. I would like to take a moment and talk to you about what we do and an offer we're making for this very scary time for schools, and explain the massive discounts we're offering. So, oh, somebody just asked me to go back. Can we? The flow chart again. Yeah, so I can certainly go back, and I can send you that information afterwards if you contact us. But just to get through the presentation, I just want to ask, do I have your permission to promote our services and tell you about the really big discounts that we are offering right now for schools in this scary time to help people get the help they need without having to be too worried about the budget? So do I have your permission to do that? So I'll just wait for a moment. I'm going to wait. I'll wait till there's some, some folks tell me in the chat on the right side. Give me a yes if you give me your permission to promote our services. I don't want to move forward without having that permission from you. Okay. Thank you very much for that permission. All right. So we have your enrollment marketing solution. We will help you do exactly what you need to do to save your school right now. We'll design and manage your Facebook ads exactly how you need to right now. And we'll build an automated enrollment marketing system. You'll get a simple dashboard to manage your prospects. And the system is going to remind you when you need to take action. And you'll get unlimited coaching consulting for any area of enrollment. We are here to coach you through this, to help you through this, to help you in this critical time to make sure you're going in the exact specific right direction, doing the right things to save your school. So, so that's what we do. So we design and test your ads. We build your strategy exactly how you need it now, in 2 months, in 6 months, so that you get inquiries and students for the lowest cost possible. We design and test all the landing pages for any programs you want to promote now or in the future. We test the entire system for you. We do all the best practices, and so that you can focus on your enrolled parents on keeping them, because we want to free up your time, create margin in your day to do the things that you need to do, especially right now, to engage your parents. Please speak to every single one of your parents right now. That's what you should be doing. More importantly than anything, talking to every single one of your parents. It is so critical right now. And so we'll free up you. We'll give you that time to be able to do those things that you need to do. So our platform has all the tools that are needed to manage this process top to bottom. It's got the web pages, the digital forms, the automated emails and reminders, the appointment scheduling, the enrollment management dashboard, everything that you need. And again, we manage this entire system for you. You don't have to learn how our technology works. We want you, again, to focus on the parents. Focus on keeping your parents, and we will make sure that you get more parents. We love working with schools. We are a mission-driven company. We only work with schools because we believe that you guys do the most critical work in society. We want to make sure that you guys are around next year. There's nothing more important than what you guys do. That fixes everything in the world. It's our mission that, to help you focus on doing that. We want to remove as many roadblocks out of your way as possible. So again, just to give you some case studies, Patricia Marreri got 40 new students in 6 months. Brian Gordon got 70 new students in 9 months. Laura McDonald got 50 new students in 12 months. Kiva Hampton got 18 students in 2 weeks. And so if you work with us, you're going to fill up your calendar with ideal fit families. You're going to have more margin in your day to focus on doing what you really love to do and what you need to do right now. So you need to focus on one-on-one communication, one-on-one conversations with all of your parents. You need to automate your entire enrollment marketing system. You need to present parents with a professional appearance. They need to feel trust all the more now. They need to feel that you have their back, that they can rely on you. They need to see a professional organization. And this is how you will increase your retention rate right now. That is so critical. You need to do both. You need to get new students, new enrollment queued up for next year, and you need to focus on your retention. And that takes time. That is more time consuming, and it really is the thing you have to do more manually. So I'm excited to offer that if you book a strategy session with us, we are offering our services to you right now at 50% off. Okay, 50% off for the year, because this is a hard time. We want to do our part to help schools. You guys do the most important work in society. We could work with many other industries, we want to work with schools. That is our mission. We want to help you educate more children in the best way possible. So let us help you. Right now, we're offering it for 50% off because obviously we have to pay our people, but that is our cost. We are offering it at cost because this is a scary time, and it's so critical that schools be around next year and that you can thrive, not just be around, but thrive. And there's no reason why you can't be. So we're here to help you thrive. We're going to do it at cost, at 50% off for the year. So I'm going to drop a little button here on the side that you can click on. So if you should see a button there to book a session. If you book that session this week, the session doesn't have to happen this week. I just need you to book it this week so I know that you're part of this offer. We can only offer this to so many schools, obviously, because we do a lot of work. So it is limited for how many schools we can handle. Right now, we can probably take on 10 more schools this month maximum. And we're going to be running this, this promotion all month. So don't wait. Book that session so that we can help you. But we can't really handle more than 10 new schools because it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work to do this. We do a lot of hand holding. It's a lot of done for you services here. It's a managed solution so that you don't have to learn how technology works. It is a lot of work for us up front, and we're happy to do it. We can handle about 10 more schools this month to onboard. So don't hesitate. If you want to allow us to help you save your school, if you're worried, if you have serious concerns about how you're going to operate next year and what's going to happen, whether you work with us or not, please make sure you prioritize your marketing. Number one, first and foremost, but don't spend $1 on marketing unless you know exactly what to do. You have to do it. It's too easy to waste your money and waste money that you need so much and see it get wasted. It's too critical of a time to do that. Please don't waste your money. Only spend it when you know exactly what to do. But please make sure that you're doing the right things. So I'm going to leave that offer up there. You can go to the chat. You can ask me questions. I've got a question here from Paula. Any advice on continuing to collect tuition when schools are closed? Yeah. So I'll tell you, don't do what my children's school did. I'm not mad at them. Nobody has a playbook for this situation right now. But what I'll suggest is, the language you want to use is, here's my best suggestion. Do it on an individual basis. Call everybody individually. Don't send out blanket emails right now. It is not the time for email blasts. It is not the time for generic language. It is the time to speak to every single one of your parents and hear them. And by the way, this is marketing too, right? Like anytime you communicate with a customer, that is called marketing. Okay. So this is marketing as much as Facebook ads is marketing, right? And you got to keep your parents. You got to get new ones, but you got to keep your existing parents. Now, you're going to lose parents. There's no way around that. You are going to lose parents, but you will keep more parents if you treat them as individuals. Call them. That is more important than Zoom classes right now, because you need to hear from them what they need. And you're going to hear things that are specific to each family, but you're also going to hear things that are affecting everybody that you didn't realize. Everybody is learning things today that they never knew. And even these Zoom classes that everyone's doing is so interesting. In these Zoom classes, I'm talking to school after school, and they're and the value that people are getting, and parents and children are getting from these Zoom classes that these schools are holding is they didn't realize what was actually going to have the highest value, and it's the connection, it's the community connection, it's the kids seeing each other in these Zoom classes that's having the biggest impact on them. Right now is not the time for assessments and checking off boxes and doing scope and sequence reports and skills development reports. It's not the time for that. This is the time to engage and connect and keep the community alive and give people relief and hope and reduce their anxiety. And everyone's so isolated, right? Okay, so as far as marketing goes and retention goes, like, the language that you need to use, it needs to be here's a piece of language that I think is really, really important. Everyone's telling me that they're getting some parents that are asking for tuition refunds. Okay. And again, you have to treat this on an individual basis, but if a parent is asking for a refund and it's not appropriate, you don't feel it's appropriate, make sure you don't use negative language. So if somebody says, so instead of saying, well, I can't give you a refund because A, B, and C, or your agreement says this, or whatever it is, first and foremost, like, it might not be the right thing in general to give refunds, because again, it's just might not be like possible, and so that's one thing, right? Secondly, it might be the right thing to do to give a refund. It depends, like, and that's why you have to take these things on a case by case basis. But if you're in a scenario where it's not reasonable or it's not right to give a refund, then you want to use the positive. You want to say, our refund policies or our contract is set up a certain way so that we can responsibly provide education to all the families, that pay us. So for us to be responsible, our refund policy is set up that way, that so our business can operate and we can do what we're supposed to do as a responsible business owners, business leaders. And what I can do, not and what I can do is, and what I suggest is, offer credits, right? Give people something. Offer credits. Maybe if you can reduce the fees for the next few months, if you're charging monthly for May and April, if you have payments coming in during these times, maybe reduce it if you can, and a certain percentage. Not, I think 50% is too high. I'm hearing of some schools going down to 50%. I think that's too low. I mean, it depends on what you need to operate, but I'll tell you something though, and this is really important. If you can't do these things and you have any staff that you are not letting go, that's wrong. You need to make sure that if there is a scenario where you should be giving a refund and you still have staff people that are not essential, and you just don't want to face letting them go because of so many reasons, and trust me, I'm not judging. It's the hardest thing in the world. It's the hardest decision to make. So please don't think I'm judging you or it's hard. I mean, but if you have to lay somebody off so that you can keep your parents, because if you can give a break to your parents and build that dedication with them because you helped them in a hard time and you were understanding, they are so much more likely to return next year, right? So the other thing you want to do is you want to give more. You want to give more value. Any way you can give more value, okay? Because it's a hard time. You want to, I mean, it's just one of these times you want to try to reduce your cost to your customers, and you want to stack on more value if you can, and you want to try to find innovative ways to do that. And I'm always here to talk about this with you, absolutely. But please, I hate talking about this idea or this, you know, the topic of letting people go, but please keep your school alive. Make the hard choices you have to make, and you do have to prioritize your customers over your staff. You really do have to do that. That is the right thing to do. So if you have to, if you have to choose between, you know, keeping your school running and prioritizing your customers over your employees, this is something that a lot of schools get wrong. I'm sorry to say, but a lot of schools do not have, they have too much loyalty to their staff. Not You need a lot of loyalty to your staff, and they deserve a lot of loyalty. But your customers deserve more loyalty than your staff does. Unfortunately, that is just the hard reality of keeping your business going sometimes. So thankfully, this isn't something you have to think about most times, but we're in that hard time. We're in a world global emergency. And so, you know, sometimes you have to choose between letting one person go and shutting down your whole school, right? Or losing more customers than you need to. So just think about that. Think about prioritize. You got to prioritize your loyalty to your customers over your loyalty to your staff. It's a ugly thing to have to calculate. It's very, very ugly. I hate talking about it, but this is the time when we need to be real. We have to be real. We have to be mature, professional business owners. And it's ugly, but it's just we're in that scenario. Any other questions? Any other questions for me? I hope I haven't turned anybody off with all this real talk. You know what? I could be totally wrong. I stand to be corrected. And hey, if you can keep your customers and keep all your staff, that is the best case scenario, of course. And we are here to help you make sure that you do the right things to do that. There's very specific marketing strategies that you need to do, but you have to do marketing. You have to do marketing. Marketing is what you have to do when you go into a recession if you want to keep your business alive. You have to do marketing, the right marketing, very specific things, and you have to be innovative. You have to get more work done with less time and effort. That happens with technology. That's why we are here. And we are offering you a 50% discount. We will do it at cost because we want you to survive. We want to help you save your school. So you can either click the button on the right, or you can just go to hubly.com/get-more-students, and you can book a consultation with me. We will talk about your school. We'll take a look. Everybody has different needs. We'll make sure that we are first and foremost the right fit for you. We might not be. We'll make sure that we are first. And if we're not, we will help you find the right solution for you. We're not just going to leave you to figure this out on your own, no matter what. I promise. If you give me your time, I will help you along this journey one way or the other, whether it's as a customer at cost at 50% off, or if it's as just some free advice, some free direction. I'm here for you. Please know that I am here for you. Please let me know if you have any other questions. You can go into the chat box on the right side. Going to be on for another minute, and then I'm going to have to wrap it up. Okay, folks, it's been a real pleasure. I'm honored that you gave me your time. I hope this information was helpful and valuable for you, because this is, nothing. There's nothing more important than I can do aside from obviously taking care of my own family than helping schools survive and thrive, and that is our entire mission as a company. So, like I said, book that consultation. I will do my very best, even if it's just free advice. I promise I will leave you with something helpful. It is, nothing makes me feel better than helping schools figure all this stuff out, whether if it's as a paying customer or as just a free consultation to walk away with something actionable that you can do. I am here for you. Don't be afraid to ask me for help. I will give you help. It doesn't have to be for a price. Okay. Um, thank you. Thank you for what you do. Um, keep doing it, and please, please let me know if there's anything I can help you with. Have a wonderful day. Thanks, everybody.